The debate over the origin of COVID-19 is heating up.
The U.S. intelligence report says 3 researchers at a Wuhan lab fell ill and even went to the hospital right before the coronavirus pandemic began.
President Biden announced he's giving the U.S. intelligence community 90 days to produce a report on the subject.
He said that, quote, the U.S. intelligence community has coalesced around 2 likely scenarios. Some in the community lean towards the theory that COVID emerged from human contact with an infected animal, but others now lean towards this laboratory accident theory.
Are you still confident that it developed naturally?
No, I'm not convinced about that. I think that we should continue to investigate what went on in China until we find out, to the best of our ability, exactly what happened.
The origin of the coronavirus pandemic has enormous implications for U.S. foreign policy if investigators point to China, which is one of the most powerful yet sensitive countries in the world. It could ignite a global diplomatic firestorm. Hello, everybody. I'm David Shuster, and thanks for joining us. Health officials in the United States and around the globe are pointing out that China continues to block investigations into the coronavirus outbreak. So a clear finding could remain out of reach despite President Biden's directive. Still, the president's move indicates he is growing more concerned about China's possible role. And that is a sharp break from the previous Biden White House position of relying on the World Health Organization to uncover how all of this started. Until recently, prominent scientists believed the virus all but certainly jumped from an animal species to humans. But now, the theory gaining traction is that the pandemic, which has killed more than 3.5 million people around the world, may have escaped from the Wuhan Institute of Virology in China. Some Republicans pushed the idea early on that the Wuhan lab was at fault, rather than a natural transmission from animals to humans. President Trump also promoted that theory, often using inflammatory language. But the president and his supporters were dismissed in many quarters of the U.S. political and media world because of their anti-China rhetoric. So, to a certain extent, the latest developments are vindication for the Trump crowd, but let's be clear. The people pushing the Wuhan lab theory were also promoting wild conspiracies, accusing China of doing this on purpose. That accusation was illogical and insane then and remains so now. Relatedly, back in the spring of 2020, there was so much inaccurate information coming out of the White House. Many people viewed the Wuhan lab claims as just another Trump White House diversion from the poorly managed virus response. Furthermore, let's just suppose we all believe from the start that the Wuhan lab was responsible. Would the Trump administration have handled the pandemic any differently? Would the knowledge of how this started saved any lives? Sure. We would have had a nasty relationship with China, and the trade war might have escalated dramatically. Okay, but other than soothing the Trumpster's ego and fueling a fight with China, would anything have been different in U.S. public health? I'm happy to give conservatives credit for their doggedness in pursuing the Wuhan lab theory, but we needed that same determination in promoting an effective U.S. virus response. Getting more people at the start of the pandemic to wear masks, wash their hands, and socially distance would have saved hundreds of thousands of lives. Instead, the GOP message on the coronavirus was all over the place, and that hurt America the most.